I keep forgetting that. Wait, no, was it this tab? No, it wasn't this tab. Actually, oh, wait, control plus a number brings me to the nth tab. I see. That's what happens. No wonder. Okay. Yeah, I've been doing some research, just kind of poking around with things. And what did I find? Yes, I found this. So square.ttf is actually the fallback font anyway, so that's automatically packaged with your Amethyst project. It's in the Amethyst UI package, I guess, module. So yeah, square.ttf probably isn't a problem to use at all. I don't know how to actually access this one in particular, so I still I kept the copy in my repository because I honestly don't know how to access that one in the project. But yes, since square.ttf is already packaged with Amethyst, I think it's fine to use it for now anyway. Of course, I don't really like the font, and I don't think it's really suitable for, you know, making any real game if you want it to look nice. So probably not going to actually keep the square.ttf forever, but since I don't have any other good defaults, and I looked around for resources on how to create a TTF file, and it was kind of how do I say it? It was really complicated sounding, I guess. It was more complex than I thought it would be. It was like a whole bunch of stuff about like kerning and all these other more nuanced details of making fonts that I didn't really want to get into, so I decided to abandon that. I guess the only other thing I thought was kind of interesting was how they actually handle this. They have this return here, which is kind of weird considering that you don't have to explicitly return at the end of your Rust functions or methods. You can drop the return, and as long as you don't add a semicolon, it'll just return this value. So that's kind of weird. It might have to do with the fact that they're doing these early returns, where in other cases of the match they're not returning any value at all. They're doing like a warn log. So I'm pretty sure that this returns like unit. So yeah, instead of being able to just return a value here of the right type, they use an early return here to just, well, return a value of font handle type, and then when it enters one of these error cases and just does like this print, it'll then do this instead. And can't say I really like the way that's written. I mean, obviously this is not my code, but like, it's, I don't know, it seems kind of just a bit icky. I know there's a lot of threads out there if you like search around. There's a lot of threads out there that encourage early returns, and usually those are people coming from like a C or C++ background, or like a more imperative language background. But like, for someone like me who comes from Scala, this is just ugly, and you don't want to do this. It's side effecty. It does all sorts of bad things. Early returns are in general never useful. You can completely refactor your code in such a way that you never need to use those, especially in a language that supports things like pattern matching. I mean, I can understand for languages that don't support pattern matching why you might want to do like a return in each case, you know, just to like break out of things faster. Like, that makes sense. But like, when Rust has pattern matching like this, I'm sure there's a way that you could rewrite the code to not require these early returns. So yeah, just a thing that I thought I'd mention because it's kind of weird and icky. Don't do that, kids. If your language allows you to avoid doing stuff like that, just don't do it. Avoid the side effects. They're bad for you. Well, unless you absolutely need them. This doesn't seem like a good case for them, though. In my opinion, there's definitely a way to rewrite that code better. So yeah, this is the current state of our program. It does pretty much exactly what you'd expect it to. Probably shouldn't be just deleting all the entities as I go back and forth, but it does recreate them every single time I enter a new state, so that seems roughly like what I want. Of course I could always change it so that it doesn't recreate everything when you enter the state again. That definitely can be changed, but yeah, for now this is how it's going to work. And it is kind of slow because you can see the black window pop up for a bit, but oh well, that's just how it is. So yeah, now I'm at a bit of a crossroads, so I need to decide what I'm gonna do next. And naturally, I think we're not gonna actually, do like a start game for real, because we don't really have a game yet. That's something I do want to tackle very soon, like actually implementing the play state, where all the actual action happens. It is pretty important, but I'm going to hold off on that for just a bit longer. What I think I want to handle next is this generate thing, and also I guess it's related to the start game as well. I just want to be able to make it so that when you click on like this or generate and then start game, that you actually generate random seeds properly, and that those can be used in the game to, for randomization. That's why we wrote that whole filler algorithm and everything. So in order to actually get some real usage out of that, we need to actually, generate a seed and use it. And of course, after that, then we can probably pass the seed into the actual game so that it can use that for everything else that needs randomization, such as like enemy movement, boss patterns, item drops, I guess, if I decide to go with that kind of system. So that way it's deterministic between different games, or between different people running the same seed. Because in order to make races more fair, typically they have to do some RNG manipulation to make sure that the RNG for the seed is the same for everyone who plays that seed, at least for certain aspects. So I don't think they do this for everything, but they at least do this for things like, for example, in the Link to the Past randomizer, they'll do this for Aghanim's blue balls. So he usually fires like the regular big ball, and he'll also fire these blue balls that you can't hit back at him. And so if you don't make that the same for all players, then of course people who get a pattern where Aghanim just fires like 6 regular balls at you in a row, they'll have an advantage because they can reflect those back, but the blue balls, they can't be reflected back, right? So in order to make things more fair, they decided that everybody would have the same time loss if they played optimally, and they only hit back all of the solid regular balls instead of having the random blue balls everywhere. So if you get like a bunch of blue balls in a row from Aghanim, then everyone else will also get that. So you're not actually going to be losing time unless you miss one of the balls that you actually can reflect. So there's an example of how the RNG is made the same in order to compensate for randomness. And that just in general, like having people lose a bunch of time for no reason, it makes it more fair, and that's exactly what I kind of want to do. I want to make this more fair. What else? So my math was off about this back button. I was expecting it to appear down here, but it is nowhere near that. I don't know why it's here and not down here. I'm gonna have to figure that out still. So let's do that, I guess. I'm not really sure how that happened, though. Because the window should be, what, 500? I'm not really sure why it's way up there. Maybe 500 minus 64 is what I need? I don't know. Does that not make sense? Maybe I measured from the wrong point. I'm not sure. I can't remember what I did. But it's obviously not correct. So it should be... I need a calculator, I think. I think I need a calculator. No, wait, I can do this. I can figure it out. What was it? 500 minus 64? I can definitely figure that out. I use my big brain to figure that out. So this will be like a 4, and this will be like a 10, and that'll become a 9, and then that'll become a 10. So 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 6 is 3. No, it's just a 4, so 436. Okay, so let's try 436. I know that math is probably completely off, considering the size of the button and everything, but I just want to try that. Oh, that's off of the freaking grid. Okay. What did I forget? I did something wrong then. So earlier it was... I don't know how this works then. If 328 is too high, then how about 358? Where does that go? Which direction? I don't know. It's gone. Alright. So, back to 328. How about 338? Still gone. Wow, okay. I don't know. But this is fine. Wait, no, I wasn't looking at the right state. I'm dumb. Of course it wouldn't show up. Duh. Wow. Well, I did all that math for nothing. Was it like 438? Let's try that. Okay, there we go. That's a bit better. You know, I like that. I like where it is right now. I'm gonna leave it there. So yeah, minus 438. I'll leave it there. Didn't really put too much thought or effort into that, just... It looks semi-good, so I'm okay with that. Still haven't looked into getting rid of this, if it's possible. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. So right now, random seed generation. That's the next topic for the day. And I'm gonna close some stuff. Because I was looking at a whole bunch of stuff about fonts and whatnot, and it wasn't particularly useful, but I don't think I need that either. Yeah, okay, I'm okay with this, so we can probably close that now. Cool. So, the plan for today is to do some research on, what do you call it? I already blanked. Seed generation for games. So, generating random seed. I don't know. Should I look up a language? I guess I can look up Rust as a language, but I'm not really sure how seed generation is done. No, this seems like a bad idea. Let's just look up random seed generation game. Because I want to make sure that I can generate a random seed. Because sometimes, yeah, well, the seedable RNG that I'm using has to be a vector, right? So I'm not really sure what the best way of handling that is. Well, I guess I'll look at this. Yeah, I know about pseudo-random numbers. Like, that's pretty obvious. Spelunky, of course. Classic example. Is that Minecraft? Because it sure looks like it is. Yeah. See, how do I generate a random seed, though? That's what I want to know. Okay, don't think that was particularly useful, and this is the extent of the usefulness that I expected from looking this up. It's not very good. I guess what I could do is generate the values that I use in the array randomly. I don't know. Because the seedable RNG works kind of weird. It uses a... I don't know why it uses a array. Alright, so you ate length 12 or greater. What length am I using? I don't even remember. What am I using? Was it in filler? It was somewhere. Yeah, I definitely need to have some place, some facility for shuffling. 'Cause shuffling is kind of separate from everything that's happening here. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Sorry, I just kind of blanked. 32, that's way bigger than 12. So that's pretty good, I guess. For cryptographic RNGs, the C to 256 bits is recommended. Well, we're at least as good as cryptographic RNG, so hey. That's not so bad, right? So I guess... I don't really know how you would, you know, generate a random seed? So here they have a default RNG seed, which is just 0. Of course, yeah, that's what I'm doing. No, they just use a constant. That's smart. I should do that too. Yeah, I think I will. Well, later. Once I figure out how to actually, you know, randomize the seed itself. I'm just not really sure what the best way to do that is. This is such a weird problem to have, I feel. If it was just a number, like, it'd be easy, I think. Because when you generate a random number, you just generally you can just use that as input for the seed. But because this takes this byte array, I'm just not really sure what to do. Like, if I generate 32 random numbers and stick them into that array, like, is that sufficient? I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I could read here, but it's really confusing. Okay, here's seed from U64. Not suitable for cryptography. Yeah, that's fine. Although that's only 64 bits, right? Whereas the other one was like... The one I'm using is 256 bits. Okay, so yeah, that is roughly the same thing. So that's why this is not suitable for cryptography. This is only 64 bits, this one's 256 bits. So it is roughly the same thing. I guess if you randomize the seed piecewise, if you randomize the 32 different things, then then you put them all together in an array. I mean, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 is pretty unlikely. So I could do that. I certainly could do that. So I need to get a random number somewhere, somehow. That's the first step. We need to get random numbers. I think I'm gonna have some kind of like RNG related class that just handles everything RNG. Did I say class? Well, I mean, it is kind of gonna be like a class. Even though everything's a struct. It's the intention behind it that counts. So somehow I have to just... how do they do it? Thread RNG.gen? How does that work anyway? That's what I'm afraid of. Yeah, because this is the quick start. The easiest and highest level way to get a random value is to use random. Okay. That generates a boolean? Huh. Okay. Oh, but you can turbofish random. Ah, interesting. Alternatively, you can use thread RNG. What's the difference? Want to explain? Oh, this is just a shortcut for thread RNG.gen. Okay. Cool. Seems fine to me. I'm just gonna generate a bunch of U8s then in a row, and then I'll use that to build a seed, and then stick that into the into the generator, and we're good to go, I think. Yeah. So there's gonna be like some kind of like randomization facility, and then there's going to be, I guess, the shuffling facility. So I feel like that would make sense, honestly. How would I do that? So, because this thing assumes that everything is pre-shuffled, right? Pretty sure it does. I'm not wrong, am I? Because the prog items, junk items, and then I do the RNG, yeah, and then I do the shuffle and everything, then I pass it into fill locations, yeah. I definitely want to make sure that everything is pre-shuffled. And this just uses standard RNG from seed, and then we pass this in as a seed. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is change this unit test then, actually, so that it uses a more random seed. And the way I'm going to do that is by using... Actually, could I just... Oh, this is going to be a boolean by default. Oh, no. Could you not? I need to turbofish this with what? It was U8s, I believe. I need 32 of them. There we go. 32 U8s right there. I think that will work, if I'm not mistaken. I did not run that test, I just ran the entire program. Oops. Still bad at using IntelliJ. I haven't bothered to learn how to use IntelliJ again, or like relearn how to use it. I was a lot more proficient with it before, but after spending so much time in Visual Studio, I just can't really remember. What? Are you kidding? Access to external crates through Prelude is experimental. I don't even think that's what I wanted. Pretty sure that's not what I wanted. Can I use Rand? Gosh, I feel like that's... Like, this is experimental, but that's not even what I wanted. So in the future I might accidentally just do that, and I actually would have wanted it to not compile, but then it'll just compile, and then I won't know. I'm a little bit concerned about that, if that's a change that's coming. 'Cause I was intending on actually using Rand here, like that. But yeah, we should see that these results change. So right now it says item 2 is in location 3. Let's see what happens after this one. Item 1 is in location 3. Yeah, see, so this one now will be completely random every time. And that's really cool. I like that. Okay, that wasn't too hard to do, admittedly. So yeah, this will be fine. Just doing random U8 and giving it a length of 32 seems fine. But I do want to make sure that everything is being shuffled first. So what I am thinking about right now is creating a kind of like struct of like shuffled stuff. Sort of like the new type pattern, or like this field location, where we just have shuffled things in it, and then we can make sure that anything that gets passed in here has to have already been shuffled, meaning that we called the RNG.shuffle or whatever. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So... Okay, but with this random seed thing, we don't want to do that every time because we want the user to be able to enter in seeds in some places. So we want to make sure that this only happens sometimes. Yeah. Like, we definitely want to make sure that it's a seeded RNG still. No matter what. But the seed should only be random in certain circumstances. Yeah. So maybe what our shuffler should do is it should take an RNG, like a seedable RNG or standard RNG, and then it'll shuffle everything and then return the shuffled collection, right? Some kind of struct holding these vectors in it. I feel like that makes sense. And I guess the seed itself, which would be this entire thing, that's an array. Somehow we're gonna have to have the user enter in like this 32-bit, no, 256-bit seed. Yeah, that's gonna be tricky, isn't it? Maybe 32 bits is too many. Or not 32 bits. Wow, I keep saying 32 bits. Sorry, that's 32 bytes. Yeah, maybe 32 bytes is too long. Because, like, in Crypto the Necrodancer, you can only enter in 10 characters. So, I don't know. I do not know. I'll have to decide what to do about that later, I guess. But for now, we're going to roll with creating some kind of facility for shuffling stuff. I think that makes sense. And the only thing, like, this stuff doesn't get used more than once, right? After that, it's just the filled locations. Yeah, that's only just the filled locations, so yeah, we should be fine to just do that. Output some kind of struct holding all our stuff in it. Okay. Where am I going to do that? Probably in here. All that later, as usual. Shuffled. I don't know what to call them. Shuffled things. Shuffled items. Shuffled. And I don't really want these fields to be accessible, I don't think. Well, does it really matter? I want them to be accessible by the filler, obviously. The filler needs to use them, but I don't want them to be accessible outside of that. So maybe I won't expose this. No, I don't know how to do that, but well, I do know how to do it. It's just thinking about it and trying to figure out where to put it to make sure it doesn't get exposed is it's a little bit more tricky. So anyway, let's look at this. This guy takes a vector of locations, a vector of labeled items, and a vector of labeled items. That's subject to change, but for now that's what I'm doing. Just a vector of stuff. And we're gonna have, I guess, some kind of like shuffle items. Shuffle world, I guess. I don't know else what to call it. We'll just do this. I already forgot what it was. I guess in the locations. Frog items. One of these, and then the junk items. Oh, well, I can just do that. There we go. It's a little bit long. I think I will break it out. Alright. Seems good to me. So now, this is going to return, what, shuffled. And all it's going to do is this. Just shuffled. Oh wait, no, it's got. We have to do a few things first. We also have to take an RNG. Let's use and standard RNG. There we go. And then we'll just do what's happening here. Shuffle a bunch of stuff, return it. That's all. Oh. And these need to be mutable, of course. So those are mutated, and then you just stick them in here. Wait, is that not where you put it? Or do you put it here? I think you put it here. That's my bad. That must be why it's complaining so much. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, locations is going to be mutable, frog items is mutable, junk items is mutable. We shuffle them all, then we just return them, like this. And then we change the other thing to only take a shuffled, so that way you're forced to run this first, because it's the only place where shuffled is going to be created. I feel like that makes sense, at least. So the filler will instead take a pre-shuffled set of everything. And I think these do have to be public, then. Actually, can I get away with not making them public? I don't know. How is this gonna work? Shuffled is a shuffled. I wonder if this will be okay. Or is it? It's gonna complain down here, of course. Right. Yeah, let's just try this down here as well, I guess. Do the exact same thing. Whoa, what am I doing? Definitely not doing the right thing. Shuffle world. Give it all our things. Let's give it locations, prog items, and junk items. Yeah. I think that makes sense. Then we can do that, and then we can pass these things into here, and this only takes one. Oh, oops. Right, then I can pass shuffled into here instead. It's probably not going to compile, but result import. Really? I don't find shuffler in super. Oh, because I didn't add it to mod, of course. Mod shuffler. There. Huh? Really? I'm using super... Wait, no, that's not the same. Right, okay. Yeah, I need to use super shuffler. Okay, that'll work. I should collapse these imports if I can. Make them a little bit cleaner. Tuple struct / variant film struct shuffled. The struct is not visible here due to private field. Oh. Yeah, of course. And also this guy can't access location and all that other stuff. Right. Or labeled item. Okay. So we need to do the same thing here as we did there. Of course I can't do that, but the rest of this should be okay. So I can do that. And this needs to be public. Okay, so these do need to be public anyway. It kinda sucks, but... I think at least... Oh, you need more, don't you? You're greedy. You're hungry. You're hungry. I need to do this, I think. Then I can just do that instead of doing this. What? That's immutable? Shoot. Well, not anymore. But then I'm gonna consume it. That's not good. Let's not consume it. Let's just borrow it. Mutably. Yeah, mutably. And you need an RNG, don't you? You do. Also, I can't spell. Alright, so I'll do that. There. Borrow him. For the greater good. Borrow him. Shuffle world is private. It sure is, buddy. change that. There. Better? That's a lot of warnings. And yeah, there we go. We're good. Cool. So I'm pretty happy with that change, at least. That'll be useful. And now when Travis runs the CI build, it'll also check this randomly, which is nice. So if I ever get a failure, then I'll know that something's up with the randomization. Although this will only ever run once per CI build, so maybe I should try and do something a little bit better. But I guess this is sort of like a form of fuzz testing now, isn't it? That's just kind of cool. Didn't use any of the awesome fuzz testing frameworks that Rust supplies, but oh well. That's just the way that things are. I mean, I guess I don't really need it anyway for something as simple as this. So we have our shuffled stuff, which comes from some kind of seeded RNG. That RNG should be able to be passed around, because I do want to be able to use it. Yeah, I do want to be able to actually use the RNG in the actual game itself. That's going to be important. But at least we're able to do this much, and that's really important. And so, instead of having an actual randomization module, since it's so easy to create a RNG anyway, I think I'll just leave it as it is. We're just gonna create the RNG on the spot with standard RNG from seed. Give it like whatever seed. That seems like the reasonable thing to do. So where would we create our RNG? The RNG is probably going to be created when we, I guess, do the state transition, right? Like, there's no other reason to create a random seed, right? I think it makes sense. Yeah. So obviously one place where we're going to do this is when we click on the generate random seed button in custom game. Like, that just makes sense. Here, if we decide to add like a generate random seed for not the back button but for the generate seed button, that would be fine. Yeah. Although this is specifically for state transitions, so I should be careful about that. See, now I'm not really sure if I need to handle up, you know, button clicks in the system, because I can just handle all the button clicks and stuff here and just return a trans none. It wouldn't really be necessary to have a system for all that stuff, so maybe that's overkill. I don't know, like, they're not very clear about why you would want to do one thing over the other. So I don't know. I do not know. Yeah, thinking about it, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what I want to do. 'Cause then we're doing like two button checks. So having the extra system seems almost redundant or unnecessary. Making video games is hard when you have so much freedom, and not very much direction. Boy. Oh well. I will think about that. I will definitely think about that some more. And yeah. Instead of worrying about that, let's just worry about this start game button. So the start game button is, instead of doing nothing, it's going to generate a seed, and I guess use that to create the game world for the play state. So that's cool. I definitely want to pass the seed. Do I want to pass the seed, or do I want to pass the entire RNG? That's a good question. I guess it doesn't really make much of a difference. What would be easier to pass over? Probably the seed. So we'll generate a random seed, and then we'll pass that over to wherever, and let that thing, let the play state handle randomization and whatnot. Because I could do the randomization here, like call the filler, but then I'd have to do it from every entry point. I could do it from main menu, I could do it from custom game. And I think that just doing the randomization as soon as we enter the play state just makes a lot more sense, right? Because we're only doing it, we only have to do it in one place. We only have to modify one place. That seems better than having to, you know, change it in more places, so I'm okay with that. So I do believe that they said that if you wanted to keep something tied to the actual struct, like the play state, you could, I guess I could attach the seed to play, right? Instead of passing around like a resource or whatever. It seems like it's a reasonable option. I don't know if it'll be okay with that, but I mean, it is boxed, right? Since it's already boxed, it should be okay to just put it there. Especially when we're not going to be mutating the seed. After the seed has been generated, we never touch the seed ever again. Like, the seed doesn't need to change. Whereas if we pass the RNG around, the RNG would definitely have to change. So yeah, that's tricky. That is quite tricky. I don't think passing around the RNG is even very feasible then, because if you want to pass that around, you have to mutate it. But trying to... well, is it particularly costly to construct the RNG every time? I feel like it probably isn't really that costly. Like, how slow could it really be? It probably is just a setter or something, right? Or like, not even. It's probably just, you know, creates it and then boom, it's done. It sits there. At least I would like to think so. How do we create the RNG in the test that I wrote? From seed. Okay, well, I guess if we look at what from seed does, that might give us some better answers. So I think rand create us. We'll look at the GitHub. Where are you? Repository, there we go. So it was under... Where would that be? Maybe under rand core? I don't know. Let's try source first. Actually, let's look up from seed. It's probably easier. Nice. Cha-cha RNG, huh. Although it just seemed like they're wrapping it in some struct. But what does fun seed look like? That's what I want to know. Will this tell me how it's defined, or? No, it just defines like some kind of interface. Seedable RNG, yeah, okay. And then that gets implemented by someone. Okay, so it does do some stuff in from seed, it seems. Or like it would. This is just a test, obviously, but... Yeah, it would have to do some, like, read U64 into whatever. So there's a little bit of work being done there. Okay, that's good enough for me. I don't really particularly care to delve too deeply into this. As long as I know that it's doing work, and I should be careful about that, then yeah. I might not want to recreate the RNG every time. I don't think it'd be that expensive, but at the same time, it does add to the computation time. Hard decisions to make. What I could do, I guess, is use a write resource, and then on instantiation of the play state, we take the passed in our seed, and then we create the RNG as a write resource, and then we use that in that state for the rest of that. Or we could even make it a component. We could even make the, some like RNG entity, and then we always get the RNG from the RNG entity, mutate it, and then yeah, away we go. That's another option. Although resource might be a better option there. Resource might make more sense. I don't know. Again, it's all a bunch of difficult decisions. I think what I'm gonna go with is pass the seed in as an array into the wherever, into the play state as a field of the struct, and then see where that goes. Don't do that. Yeah, so now we have a seed, which is this U8 thing. Yeah, so it's going to take ownership of an array, is essentially what's happening here. which will be this. Then I don't have to do anything special with this either. This can just still be a one-liner. I'll just leave it like this. Fine. If I put it all along here, it's probably going to be really long and ugly. I don't want to do that. Yeah, you know what? I guess I'm okay with this. Wait, no, I'm not okay with that. That doesn't work. Yeah, that needs to be like 32. I guess I should have like a seed length somewhere defined, like some kind of constant seed length. Where am I gonna put that though? It has to be accessible from here. It has to be accessible from all these states, probably, or at least maybe. I don't know. Let's put it here. Seems like a fine place for that. I don't know. There we go. Actually, what type does that seed length have to be? I don't know. Well, regardless. I don't know if I will be able to access this. Maybe I should put it in the mod file. That might make more sense. Some place that everything can access this from. I might decide to move this later. That's my opinion on that. I might decide to move this later. Yeah. And I have to do the same thing for custom game when I hit the start game button. I guess for now we can do the same thing. Right? Like, I don't think it's going to make too big of a difference. Oh, well, don't do that. So now when you click on that button, it'll just go straight into the game with the specified seed length. And let's see if we are still able to run this project, or if it's just going to not compile. Just to be sure. Again? Fine, we'll use rand. Use rand. There. Are you happy now? And custom game probably needs that as well, doesn't it? Use rand. There. Mismatch types. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. But that's a constant, dude. Really? That's weird. Hang on, where is... Was it play? You. That's right, you. This isn't right, is it? This is definitely not right. That's what I need. Pretty sure that's what I need. Come on. Expected use size on U32. Really? Okay. Well, that confirms that. This needs to be a use size. Okay, come on now. Really? Fine. We'll make it public too. Public. There. Yay, we did it. Cool. Alright, so that's it for today. We got a bit of a foothold here now on our next task, which is generating the random seed, passing it in to the play state, and then generating the world with that. Of course, the way that this is going to work, I'm going to probably try and actually implement some real gameplay elements first before I really get going with all that stuff, like planning on which items go where and all that. But for now, I feel like this is a pretty good stopping point, and I've made some decent progress at the very least.